Hi everyone, I'm Bria and welcome back to my channel, Tales of Tales. So today we are going to be doing a little vlog. It is a jolly time of the year. It is Christmas time. And since I'll finally be off work for the next few days, I decided that I really want to try and get some additional reading done. I'm still 5 books away from my end of the year goal. So I really want to try to squeeze some in before the new year. Also, I'm hoping that I'll find some books that I really enjoy in the next couple days. I haven't had the best reading year, haven't had a horrible one. Just, you know, there's just books that I've read that really weren't favorites or that I enjoyed but really just didn't do it for me. So I'm hoping that some of the books that I pick up in this vlog will do that, and then they'll end up in my favorites of the year. You guys are in for a ride, and I'm excited to be the driver of the car of this ride. So let's do it. I am already about 70% done with this. I'm enjoying it, but there are a few things that are throwing me off about it, and I'm not sure if it's because I've listened to most of it on audio or if it's just because of the writing style of it. But I'm enjoying the actual premise and the actual idea of the story. Of Ebony follows this young girl who is half human, half god, and she gets taken from the human world to this magical world when her mother dies. She hasn't had a close relationship with her father, and her father is her connection to this fantastical magical world. But our main character, she doesn't want to be there. She'd rather be in the human realm with her sister. But things kind of start to ensue when our main character goes back to this human world to secretly spend time with her sister. But then some things happen and our main character has to use some magic. And she's not supposed to be using magic in the human world. This magical world she lives in and her hood back home have this connection, and this connection isn't for anything good. And so she feels like she has to protect people in her hood. And on that journey, she finds out a lot of things about her mother and her parents' relationships and this magical world. So the few things that I'm currently struggling with in this book is that it is digestible, but maybe too easily so. I feel like we're getting a lot of explanation about how the magic itself works. And while I am someone who enjoys a magic system with rules and history, I don't necessarily want I don't want it explained to me outright. And I feel like there are certain scenes in here that are spelling it out for me. But also I don't know if I'm feeling like that because I am listening to it mostly on audio instead of reading it with my eyes. And I am someone who doesn't typically listen to a lot of books on audio because while I'm not hating the audiobook, I just feel like it might be detracting from my personal experience reading the book. I'm just not sure, or it might just be how the book is written. And I'm gonna try to finish this tonight so that I can move on to something else. Your eyes told me from the start, but then you fall back, giving me signs that I've seen before. Yeah, it's cute, but honey, I want more. Don't waste no more time. So take off your mask, yeah. Love is just around the corner, babe. To do what we want, I wanna get in shape with you all night. Hi, so I am currently just sitting in a random parking lot after doing a little shopping because when I was trying to film some clips yesterday, my parents kept being like, "You filming a movie? You filming a movie?" And I just couldn't deal with the comments again today. I finished Wings of Ebony last night and I enjoyed it, but there are a couple things that like threw me off about it. So I feel like this is a book that if like on paper I should really like. So there's a lot of social commentary in this book, and there's obvious parallels from this world to things that are important and impact the Black community like in reality. So I did enjoy that. And so the love interest in here both felt a little like insta lovey to me. It wasn't overwhelmingly so I like didn't really mind it that much, and I feel like it was setting the foundation for like the sequel that's gonna happen. But I'm not a fan of insta love, so that kind of threw me off. The other thing that kind of threw me off a little bit was I feel like we were handed a lot of information. Like we were just given scenes that kind of just explained everything, and usually in like fantastical worlds I like to kind of figure certain things out myself, or have scenes that feel rightly timed, I guess. And this one, it just felt like here's all the information that you need, like here's some scenes, some action scenes, and then here's an explanation of why that happened and who did what or whatever. It just wasn't for me. It is a good book, I will say that, but there's just like a lot of small like personal like reading preferences that I have that this book just didn't really hit. So I would say if you're interested in reading this, definitely still pick it up. I would recommend this book for people who like Angie Thomas but are new to a fantasy world, if that makes sense. Like to me, like the writing style and like the ideas that are portrayed in the book are very similar. So didn't hate it. It's a good book. It just like wasn't my personal cup of tea. So I'm gonna give it like a 3.5 out of 5 stars. So yeah. So I briefly started 7 Days in June by Tia Williams. And you know when you start reading a book and you're not even that far into it yet and you're like, I'm going to like this. That's how I am already with this book. I'm only like 2 chapters in, but like the writing style, the like comedy that's kind of in here, it's like just the way that it's written, I'm just like already really enjoying it. And then there's like a scene in here that I just like want to read out loud. It's in the very first chapter, but I read it and I was like, this book might have been written specifically for me. It just says, so Eva chose cuffs and cookies off the menu, and now she was seated on a gothic throne, her hands cuffed behind the chair, while a bored waitress in a pleather corset fed her snickerdoodles. And you know what? I've probably said one too many times this month for completely random reasons that if I could be a snickerdoodle, I would be. And you know I would get eaten up, but I would make someone very happy in life, you know? I feel like I'm getting too weird. So now I'm gonna head back home. I actually had to use an excuse to get out of the house, and it was to buy my parents' dog Christmas gifts. Which it kind of looked at me kind of crazy, but he's a little sweet little nugget. I just got him some cute little light things that he could eat on. So I got him like these little plates for small breed dogs, tasty treats for little pals, and I got him the chunky chicken. And then they always have these like holiday treats, and apparently I got there too late because all of the really fancy ones that are really holiday specific were already gone. So I just got him, there's like these like little cookies and whatever. You know, these are like by the pound, so I paid like $1 for him. I don't know how his stomach's gonna do, so I didn't want to upset him too much. Going back to the house, and I'm gonna start my cheesecake for our cheesecake competition. It has the bacon set, and let's see, hopefully I don't get last place. That's all I'm hoping for this year. Imagine a stay. Imagine a stay. Imagine a stay. All night. There's something that I need from you. Don't act like you don't have a clue. You don't have to wait for it tonight. You don't have to be so damn polite. No, you love the game, but I don't wanna play. I know there's time, but I don't wanna wait. Promise I won't bite. No, no. Love is just around the corner, babe. We are back in the car again. I'm on my way to Barnes & Noble. They currently have 50% off all hardbacks, and I had zero intention of buying any new books you know, anytime soon, but with a deal like that, you can't pass it up. I always wonder how people like drive and talk to the camera. It's probably dangerous, but here we are. Okay, so I just got to Barnes & Noble and there are a couple of books that I want to get. I feel like if I didn't come in with a list, I would spend way too much money. So let's go.
Do what we want. I wanna get in shape with you all night. All night. Imagine us there. Wanna make sweet loving. Imagine us there. Wanna make sweet loving. Imagine us there. Wanna make sweet loving. All night. Ooh. There's something that I need from you. Don't act like you don't have a clue. You don't have to wait for it tonight. You don't have to be so damn polite. No.
So I've just been out here living my life, reading, and haven't been updating you guys. So the first thing I'll do is just show you what I got from the Barnes & Noble sale. I only ended up getting 5 books. And for me, that's great. That shows self-control. You know, that shows I went in there with priorities and I stuck with it. The first one is The Push by Ashley Aldrain. I know this book follows motherhood, some of like the traumas and thoughts that go along with that. I've heard a lot of good things about this book. I feel like it's already been on a bunch of people's best of the year, so I decided to pick that up. Next book is In My Dreams I'll Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. And when books and Lala love something, you get it. And the inside flap says 6 friends, 1 college reunion, 1 unsolved murder. And honestly, that's all I need to know. So speaking of books that I buy because Kayla tells me to, is A Lot's Away by Darcy Little Badger. I know that this follows like a world that's like kind of close to like today's society in America, but it's slightly different. And the main character can speak to dead animals, I think. Yeah, she can raise ghosts of dead animals. And again, I don't need to know much. The next book is fairly new and I've heard a couple people talk about it, but people have been comparing it to The Hunger Games, and The Hunger Games is like one of my origin stories, okay? Like, loved it. So the next book is All of Us Villains by Amanda Foody and Christine Lynn Herman. And it says, the blood moon rises, the blood veil falls, the tournament begins. 7 families in the remote city of Ilvernath each name a champion to compete in a secret tournament to the death. I don't know what it is about tournaments to the death, but they're my jam. And then the last book I got has been a book that's been on my TBR for a really long time, and I say that this is one of my favorite authors, but I've only read 1 book by her, so is she really? And so I got Parable of the Sower by Octavia E. Butler. Kindred is one of my all-time favorite books, and I'm just surprised that it's taken me this long to pick up another book by her. And I know this follows a main character who's able to feel other people's pain as her own, and it's like in a dystopian type of world. It says 2025 though, and that's like scarily close. So in the days that I haven't been talking to you guys, I actually did finish 7 Days in June. So this follows 2 characters who fell in love when they were teenagers about 15 years ago, and they end up seeing each other again at this literary event because they're both authors. And back in the day, they had fell in love in a week's time. That's all they had together, and they haven't seen each other since. We get 2 timelines. We obviously get their 7 days in the present, but we also get the 7 days 15 years ago. And I loved it. I don't want to get too deep into my thoughts about it because I am going to be doing a live show with Chanel over on Chanel Time in January to talk through this book, but I will say a few things. I think it has one of my new favorite characters of all time, and this is a type of romance that I've never read before. Like, it was like complex, deep, but also light at the same time. It's amazing, and I'm just going to leave it at that. After finishing 7 Days in June, I decided to pick up the final revival of Opal and Nev by Donnie Walton. And let me tell you, I'm really enjoying this book. I read like the first couple of chapters with my eyeballs, but then I was like, you know what? This would probably be a great audiobook. And it wasn't on Libby, so I did actually have to end up buying it, but this is really good so far. I'm like less than halfway through, but the audiobook is phenomenal. There is a full cast. You've read Daisy Jones and the Six. It's a very similar premise, except for the main characters that we're following their careers of are Opal, who is a black woman. She actually has alopecia during her time being like a rock star, essentially. And we're following Nev, who is her counterpart in their like musical act, who is a British white guy. So they're a very interesting pairing, and so we're following like how they end up being paired together to be this musical act and their like rise to stardom. Opal and Nev are considering going on like a reunion tour essentially, but they want to write a book about their past, and so we're following all the interviews between them, some of their family, and like all these people they were connected to during that time. Like I said, I'm really enjoying this, which I was a little hesitant going in at first because I like Daisy Jones and the Six was like fine, right? And it's not really fair to like keep comparing the two because it's two different stories and it's two completely different authors. So before I couldn't pinpoint what it was about Daisy Jones and the Six that I didn't like, but I'm realizing I didn't care about the characters. So it was just like a fine book to me, you know? But the final revival of Opal and Nev, I'm like really getting into. One, because I'm like really enjoying the characters, and two, because there's like a deeper story than just them and like their rise to fame. There's like a added layer of a social commentary that was happening back then that I'm just like really enjoying. And like I said, the audiobook is a full cast and the accents are great. The like voices are great. They're all so distinct and it's phenomenal. But like I said, I'm only like less than halfway through, but I'm excited to continue reading and I will follow up once I'm done. Okay, so the final revival of Opal and Nev ended up being had a lot more layers to it than I thought it was going to. Ended up being a really nice story about finding yourself, staying true to your voice, even when things get hard and there's some adversity thrown your way. It ended up being a story low-key about betrayal and false allyship. This is one of those stories that like really sits with you for a while and that you kind of really have to think about after you read it because there's just so many layers in it, and it was just bigger than a story about two people becoming famous. And one of the things that I think just really sticks out about this book is that it feels like a true story, like it feels like a true oral history. And I had to like stop myself from like Googling, where's Opal now? Where's Nev now? Because these aren't real characters. And it blended true pop culture both from the past and the present, and a lot of social commentary that was true to the times in the past and the present as well. And so that blend of truth along with the way this story was told, it just really was like really an immersive story and world. And so I ended up giving this book 4.5 out of 5 stars. I don't want to keep comparing the two, but if you've read Daisy Jones and the Six, I really think that you're going to enjoy this. For me personally, I enjoyed this a lot more than Daisy Jones and the Six because there was, like I said, there was just more added layers. But yeah, I really enjoyed this, and it's going to be a story that sticks with me for a while. And then because I frantically thought that I needed one more book to round out my 2021 reading goal, I picked up For Everyone by Jason Reynolds. It really was just like a spur of the moment pick because I was trying to find something that was super short, and it was a 25-minute audiobook. But turns out it was exactly the perfect book I needed to end 2021. For Everyone is just like really a letter to everyone, for everyone, anyone that has a dream, big or small. This book or letter was just really fantastic. It was really just like an encouragement that if you have a dream or if you have a goal, you really can accomplish it. You can do it. Really, that's really the whole point of the book was just like, you can do it. And everybody has a dream and has a goal, so you're not alone in wanting to accomplish these big ideas or these small ideas. They're doable. They are doable. And so just to give a quick recap of the books that I read, we have Wings of Ebony that I gave 3.5 out of 5 stars. 7 Days in June that I gave 5 out of 5 stars. And the final revival, Opal and Nev, that I gave 4.5 out of 5 stars. And For Everyone by Jason Reynolds that I gave 5 out of 5 stars. I know I said at the beginning of this video that I really hoped that I found books that I really enjoyed, and I did, which I'm so happy about. And I was really hoping that I'd find some books that would make it into my top 10 of the year, and you'll just have to see if some of these books did make it into my top 10 of the year. And that'll be the next video that you're seeing. So hopefully you watch that. But if you made it to the end of this video, you're my favorite. And if you made it through 2021, congratulations. It was a rough year, and I hope everybody has a great day and a great 2022. Bye.